Today, let's find out more about the TTArtisan's 10mm f2 lens, an all-metal construction that is made for the Canon R50. Look, there is no electronics on this whatsoever, but the results are fabulous. Plus, this lens has a couple of little tricks up its sleeve. I would have to say that this 10mm lens from TTArtisan on my Canon R50 is absolutely blowing my mind. I am absolutely loving the look that we're able to get out of this lens on the Canon R50. With an all-metal construction and a price that won't break the bank, does this lens hold up on today's modern mirrorless cameras? Although this is a budget lens, the build quality is impeccable. The lens mount is available for the Canon RF mount or Canon R mount. It's also available for Sony E, Fuji X, Nikon Z and Micro Four Thirds. I'll leave links down below to all the various lens mounts. Just remember to buy the right one for your camera. Now, if you're looking at the 10mm focal length that this lens provides, you might have already considered the Canon EFS 10 to 18mm lens. That is a great lens in its own right, but it's not quite as fast as the f2 on the TTArtisan's 10mm lens. Now, this lens does not have any image stabilization in it whatsoever. Remember, there is no electronics in here, unlike our Canon friend here, the 10 to 18mm lens, and this has got the RF to EFS adapter on there, so you can see the pins at the top. So this one, no electronics in it whatsoever. And the Canon EFS 10 to 18mm lens has image stabilization and autofocus. This one doesn't, but it is a faster lens. 10mm is classed as a wide angle lens, but remember that this is on an APS-C sized sensor. That adds a little crop factor of around 1.6, turning this lens into effectively a 15 to 16mm lens on the APS-C sensor. Not a big deal, but still a really usable and a really fun wide angle lens to consider for your Canon R50. This is not a sponsored video. I bought this lens with my hard-earned money, but I am an Amazon associate, so I do make a small commission on any of the links that I do provide below. There is no additional cost to you, but I do make a small commission on any of those sales. And this is great news if you're worried about nailing focus. The wider the angle, the deeper the focus depth or the focus range that you can achieve on this lens. And that means that more of the frame is going to be in focus. This lens is perfect for interior shots or those shots where you want to really immerse the viewer into the image. And this lens could be used for real estate or vehicle interiors or other spaces that are quite tight. Plus, I am really looking forward to trying this lens for astrophotography. You might have already seen my astrophotography video. I'll put a link to a card up here. Check it out after watching this video. And this is a trick that TTArtisans have incorporated into this lens. It is a rectilinear lens. What does that mean? There is little to no barrel distortion at the edges of the frame. You might have seen images with a fisheye lens and you get that really kind of bulbous middle, that distortion off to the sides. You might have already seen it with something like a GoPro. This lens does not do that whatsoever. I don't know how they've been able to achieve it in a lens at this price. Really consider this lens and the results are really pleasing. If you like these videos, please give them a thumbs up. It does really help. But more importantly, share this information with other creators that would benefit from learning about their camera and their Canon R50. And unfortunately, full frame camera users, this is not a lens for you. This is a lens that is suited to the Micro Four Thirds and APS-C size sensor cameras. If you do put it onto a full frame sensor, you're going to find that there is vignetting around the sides. This is not a lens for you guys. So unfortunately, you might be looking at another EF lens. And vignetting is minimal on this lens, if barely noticeable at all. I don't mind adding a little bit of vignetting into my images in post-production, just to add that little bit of frame interest and really highlight what we're focusing on. There'd be no times where you really have the main focus of your image off to the side. So this is not a deal breaker. So you might be thinking about chromatic aberration. I've not come across it with this lens, or it is barely noticeable. I'm not even seeing too much in the way of color fringing from this lens. And the 8 aperture blades really nicely enhance the starbursts that I'm seeing in my images and my videos. The 8 aperture blades really enhance this feature, and it works best around f2.8. It doesn't work with multiple light sources like LED lights, but if you have a single light source pointing directly at the lens or slightly off to the side, it works absolutely fabulously. And it's a really cheap way to add polish and flair to your productions. Now, if you're looking for a lens that is going to produce bokeh, the TTArtisan's 10mm lens is not your lens. It does produce a lovely blurred out background, but bokeh is not one of its strong points. And something that really sets this lens apart is this. It is a little tiny metal lens hood, and it's actually, well, it's not actually a lens hood. It's a filter adapter. So it screws onto the front of the lens, and it allows you to put 72mm filters on the front of this lens. And included with this filter hood is this metal lens protector. Nothing is getting through that. With an all metal lens body and a lovely and smooth focus ring, we also have a clicked aperture ring that goes from f2 to f16. There are 13 elements in 10 groups, giving you roughly a 105-degree field of view. And the lens weighs 330 to 345 grams. TTArtisan has included a plastic end cap for the back, a plastic front cap. We also have a 72mm threaded lens hood and a metal front cap. These are already included in the box, and there are no electronics in this lens whatsoever. So there is no way for the camera to talk to the lens and the lens to talk back to the camera. There are some settings that you're going to have to change on your camera, and the included instruction manual shows you what to change. And I'll link to a video for the settings that I recommend that you change on your Canon R50. You're looking for the release shutter without lens setting. Okay, my final thoughts is the TTArtisan 10mm f2 all metal lens on the Canon R50 worth it? If you're looking for a budget 10mm lens that has a fast aperture and is a lens that is going to immerse your viewer into the scene, it's a yes. I do really enjoy this lens, and I'm looking forward to taking it on many adventures. But if you're looking for another budget lens for the R50 RF mount, have a look at the EFS 15 to 85mm lens on the R50. As always, it's been fun making this video for you guys. Have a great day.